Question 2 is a pseudo-sufficient assumption question. If valid, most helps to justify. But here we're being asked to justify the reasoning of the residents opposed to building the house, right? So let's take a look. We have residents of a coastal community are resisting efforts of one family to build a large house on the family's land. So just like on the face of it, I don't know, right? Like it's the family's land. If they want to build a large house on their own land, like who are you to resist, right? Okay, but let's find out. I'm sure there's more to the story. Although the house would not violate any of the town's codes, right? So this is not looking good for the residents. The land in question is depicted in a painting. What? The land in question? So I guess the land that this family's land, right? That's the land in question, is depicted in a painting by a famous and beloved landscape painter who recently died. Oh, okay. All right, so I guess it must be a fairly large tract of land. I mean, unless he just drew like somebody's lawn. I guess it's possible. But anyway, so all right, so now it comes. Now the issue sort of crystallizes a little bit. So the residents argue, and here we go. This is where we need to help out, right? The residents argue that the house would alter the pristine landscape. That's one, right? Alter the pristine landscape, so famously captured by the landscape painter, and hence damage the community's artistic and historic heritage. That's two, right? So these are two. So basically, I mean, like the argument is that, I mean, if you were the residents, right, what's your argument? Well, your conclusion is that you don't get to build a house. Your premises, why, when pressed for why don't they get to build a house? Well, you have to cite 1 and 2, right? It will alter the pristine landscape and hence damage the community's artistic, historic heritage. That's it. So your pseudo-sufficient assumption down here, your principle, you just have to say something like 1 and 2, right, implies conclusion, right? That's it. You need to find this link. Okay, let's look for it. A says, every possible effort should be made to preserve historic buildings. What? Who cares? Nobody's trying to preserve any historic buildings. What are you talking about? Communities that seek to preserve undeveloped areas of land, so I guess that's our residents, or historic neighborhoods should purchase those properties but I mean, nobody's asking you to come up with an alternative solution, right? That's what B is doing. B's like playing mediator or arbitrator or something, right? Like, oh, well, why don't you guys just pay the family and buy their land? Yeah, that's fine, but that's not what the question is asking us to do, right? You don't forget, you're trying to answer the question. You're not trying to step in and solve a problem here, right? The community, the residents, they don't want to. You don't know if they want to purchase this land, right? They want to oppose building the house. Artists who choose to represent actual landscapes in their paintings have the right to demand. Well, I mean, this artist's dead anyway, so the right to build on one's own property is constrained by the artistic and historical interests of the community at large. There you go, right? If this were true, right? If really the right to build is under this constraint, and we know what this constraint is, well, this constraint is right here, right? So they don't have the right to build, right? They don't have the right to build, right? That's kind of what they want. They want to oppose. The residents will take that as the conclusion. You have no right to build. In historic communities, the building is, well, actually, we don't know if we're in a historic community, right? I mean, we say this is a historic heritage. I mean, we're in a coastal community. Are they a historic community? We have no idea, right? So E is, I mean, just by qualifying like that, I don't know whether what you say next has any relevance at all.